But when I sent you guys the email, it started a new event. And so the event I was in, I left it to go get you guys, and now I can't get back into that one.
Oh no.
So, but everybody's here. I think if anyone else messages, I'll just try to pop them in, but I get kind of distracted doing all that. Has everybody had a nice meal or made yourself comfortable? And looks like Chelsea's cooking or something. I got some tea. Yes.
I meant to get some tea. I meant to do that. I should put something on.
I'm putting my little feminine, my raspberry leaf tea, because I'm on my moon, or about to start my moon anyway. It should be. Hi, Jen.
I brought my animal oracle cards because you said something about it in that and it made me think about them.
Always good to have an oracle or some kind of tarot deck on a new moon.
Yeah. I was going to pull one for us as a group too, if we thought that would be fun.
We have definitely a lot to cover tonight, but if you, so I think since everybody's here, I want to get started as soon as possible, because I don't want to keep you all too late, and we're already kind of getting a, let's see, a late start. Slideshow. There we go. All right. So I actually don't have a guest this month. I originally was going to do something with the mating moon. I wanted to do something around, like, I was thinking birth control, the natural cycles, but I thought that that would just be really a lot better to do for October's blood moon, to really dive deep into the menstrual situation, since it's blood moon and all. And this month, just really dive into, you know, sex stuff. But it's more than just that. For the mating moon. Yay, Becky's coming in. There's a quote explosion. Ooh, I'm echoing. Let's see. Oh, I guess we're gonna probably have to mute. If you guys want to mute and just tap in chat, anything that comes up. Let's see. I'm ready for my shirt on. So this is the zodiacal new year. It's the new moon in Aries. The Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, and it's also the start, the Hindu new year. I feel like we've had like 3 or 4 new years now, because there was like the new year, January 1, that we traditionally celebrate here in the US. And then there was the Chinese New Year in February. And, you know, the spring equinox is kind of seen as the new year, when Celtic, certain people celebrate the new year, because it's when like the new sprouts start coming up. And then now we have the zodiacal new year. So it's like 3 months of newness. Let's get right into it. The mood of the moon, I'm sure you guys can see all around, kind of going in line with where we've been so far. We had the fasting moon, where we were just detoxing and getting everything clean and ready, like preparing the soil. Then we had the seed moon, we're planting the seeds, we're doing our planning and intentions. And now is the mating moon. So everywhere we look, you see, you know, flowers blossoming. Flowers are the sex organs of plants. Birds are making nests and finding mates. Frogs are singing songs so that they're calling their mates. So this is all about mating, right? So let's call it exactly what it is, the mating moon. So I wanted to really dive into not just, you know, physical sex, but some of the more esoteric ideas around it, since we're humans and we have thought and we can do that. So we've laid the seed. The next moon is the mother's moon. So we go from seed to mating to mother. So it's kind of like the, hi Kelsey, thanks for joining. If you could mute. I'm not experienced enough as a host of Zoom to like know how to really get it set up right. So the tarot cards we're dealing with for this month, and really the mood of the moon. So a new moon is when we have the next cycle. So we're just starting a new thing. So what we talk about in this new moon container, it's going to be not just for tonight, but like the whole next month or moon cycle until the next new moon. So these are very archetypal themes that you're going to kind of carry with you for the month ahead and, you know, journal about. So this month, the Lovers, Divine Union, the Lovers card in the Major Arcana, and also Temperance or like balance. It has a lot to do with choices. When you see the Lovers card in tarot, a lot of times it's like it's either love or it's like choices. So it's always a balance. Like you kind of always feel life is a constant series of yes, no, kind of like a computer's ones and zeros. You know, it's like this dichotomous, beautiful web. But Lovers. Also, a little side note, I guess I could show you guys my tattoo. I don't know if you can see it, but I have the Lovers in the middle, the sun and the moon. So most of my tattoos have some sort of theme around kind of this topic that I wanted to talk to you about tonight. So that's why I'm like so excited about it. The sun and the moon are like opposite forces, right? So we got hot and cold, night and day. It's this duality. And then in the middle of that, we have the Lovers. So this divine union, it's not just between male and female, as far as gender is concerned, it's like duality in all life. We're also working with twos, love, desire, connection. Astrology, we have Aries is pursuing desires. It's very passionate, with Mars with that sexual energy. And then we're also, the sun is moving towards Taurus, which is your sensuality, your pleasure, your erotic love. So that's going to be coming in the next cycle. We have May Day coming up. Beltane is May 1st. It's in the pagan wheel of the year. And it's divine union of masculine and feminine. And usually it's embodied in some sort of nature. Like you have Mother Earth, this very like green woman, and the green man coming together, or like they'll be wearing stag, as you see. And there's a lot of fire and passion involved. This is usually a very sexual celebration of fire and dancing and frivolity. You have the maypole, which you probably mostly know about, but it's that upper corner picture. It actually represents the penis, and then like wrapping around it, the vagina. So that's like some of the symbology of it. So I put some flowers here for Georgia O'Keeffe flowers to just show like the sex organs of plants, you know, the birds, the bees, all of that. That's what Beltane is all about. So that's also a Saturday this year, and there's going to be a little bonfire that evening. If you want details on that, you can talk to me about it. It's also the opening day for Coops, I know. Some of you will be there, and that'll be awesome. So later that evening, a little bonfire to come. More details later. This month, the next full moon is this first of only 2 super moons this whole year. It's going to be the full pink moon, and the full pink moon, or the pink moon, it's called that because of the flowers. It's not going to look pink or anything. And the best time to charge your crystals and everything is going to be that Sunday, because it's going to peak really early Monday morning. So full moons are a time to dance, sing, gather in moonlight, whereas new moons are a time to like make yourself tea, light a candle, take a bath, talk to your homegirls, have your, you know, bleed cycle. That's what we're doing right now. So in 2 weeks, we're looking at the full moon energy, and that's more like go out, be social, stuff like that. Crystals for this month, I put your rose quartz, your garnet, your carnelians, anything that reminds you of like feminine embodiment. is a good one to do this month. And I've got my amber on today. It's the color of orange and yellowy, and so it's bringing in that sacral chakra energy. And also, like, I'm having some pain, like some headaches and some cramps. So amber is really good for helping with pain in a very subtle way. So starting tomorrow is the Navratri, the spring Navratri. There's 4 Navratris per year, but only 2 like really big ones, and probably the bigger one is in the fall, but this one starts tomorrow. It's the 9 days of Durga and the Hindu New Year, as we said. There's actually this screenshot of the red one with the Sri Yantra and the Trimurti, the triple goddess there. That is happening. One of my teachers, Halo Saranko, she's a belly dancer, and she does Indian classical dance as well. She teaches Tantra yoga, and right now I'm in her temple dance class. So she has a Facebook group, and I'll link it at the end of this meeting, but she'll be starting a daily sadhana starting tomorrow for all the 9 days of Navratri. So that might be really interesting to join in on. I just want to like touch this much on Kama Sutra. The Kama Sutra you're probably most familiar with. You can see these carvings. They're very ancient from India. It's basically 400 BC to 200, before the current era. It's the thread of love. So there's many sutras in India. Sutra is like suture, like the word suture, it means thread, kind of like when you get stitches or sutures. So sutra is thread, and the kama is desire. So this is the book of desire and love. Most Western traditions just take like a small part of this book, and that's just the part that's about the sexual positions, which are depicted in a lot of the carvings as well, but it's actually got 7 parts. The general principles are like how to live your dharma. Part 2 is the sexual positions. They also cover stuff like slapping, like pinching and biting and stuff like that in there too. The chapters 3 and 4 are very like old school, how to acquire a wife, and some courtship things that are nice still, like flirting techniques. But some of them are very like outdated, like duties of the wife and privileges of the wife. There's also a whole chapter on courtesans, as if that's just kind of expected, like, before you find a wife, you're gonna meet a courtesan to like practice. And there's courtesan arts. If you want to be a courtesan, it kind of says how they're supposed to act, like their perfume and different jewelry you're supposed to wear. There's like 9 pieces of jewelry, the bindi, a necklace, some arm dangles, a hair thing, henna. I can't think of all of them, but anklet bells. There's basically like 9 pieces of jewelry. And they even have a chapter on occult practices, which they mention tattoos and perforations. And I love that they call piercings perforations, which is really cool. But yeah, tattoos are a whole book chapter on that stuff. Pretty cool to dive into. If you do get any like want to explore Kama Sutra, or maybe you already have books about it, the ones that are just full of like white people in different sex positions is not a very complete look at Kama Sutra. You want to get one that really like dives deep in all these 7 parts. If you want to learn more about that, it's pretty cool. You can chat with me if you've like had some experience with the Kama Sutra classical texts. Let me see if I can see the chat window first of all. Chat. Okay, let me get that over there. That way, if you guys want to speak up, you don't have to worry about unmiking or whatever. All right, diving into Tantra. So Tantra, it's two-part words, tan and tra. So tan, the root of the word means expansion, and tra is liberation. So nothing in there denotes anything about sex. So this Tantra is not sex. But it's been translated as a weaving, like weaving together, which you could kind of think of as divine union, or maybe even sex there. So the Sri Yantra is a big symbol for Tantra. It's the symbol there. It's in a lot of Buddhist texts and Buddhist art. If you look, there's triangles pointing up and triangles pointing down. And it's a bunch of those. So it's basically the union of divine feminine, which are the triangles pointing up, and divine masculine, which triangles pointing down. I want to make sure you guys can see me. Can you guys still see me? Am I a person in there? Because I'm using my hands to talk, and I don't know if you guys can see me because I can't see myself. Okay.
I can see you.
Can. Cool. Okay, so I can use my hands. I actually have the Sri Yantra on my back, tattooed. It's like I said, a big part of my tattoo collection is like my spiritual beliefs, and a lot of my tattoos represent the union of divine feminine and masculine in some way, or basically I'll just leave that there. But the statues below the Sri Yantra they're in a mudra, the Maha Mudra, which is the highest position. Mudras we usually think of as like hand shapes. They can be single-handed, they can be double-handed, but there's whole like physical positions, like if you've seen the dancing Shiva deities, they're in like different mudras position. So the Maha Mudra, highest position, is basically a man with a woman cross-legged, sitting around him, they're embracing. The three main parts of Tantra I want to talk to you about tonight is the duality, sense awareness, and presence. That's basically the really the true meaning behind like Tantra, and you can apply it to everything you do, not just sex. You can bring in Tantra in your yoga practice, in your meditation practice, in your music, whatever you do, Tantra can be added. And we give you three different methods of bringing that into your life. So, and the presence part, being present in the moment with anticipation or expectation of any, a lot of times, especially with sex, we kind of get hung up on the idea, okay, I have much time, and we both want to have an orgasm. So like there's expectation there, and you lose like the physical. You're no longer in the moment when you're thinking about, okay, when is it going to get there? You know, how can we get there? Rather than just being present in the moment. I'm back. Sorry, I'm still using my phone's hotspot. I haven't gotten internet yet. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Comcast to fix whatever's wrong. It's been like 2 months, but I think I'm back on. Where I left off, I think, was the Dogen quote, and it's really, I heard this in my yoga teacher training back in Kripalu in 2014, and it's really just stuck with me. Again, I feel like everything in my life comes back to Tantra and this duality. So it goes, utterly awake, senses wide open, welcoming everything, expecting nothing. It's just those 4 lines: utterly awake, senses wide open, welcoming everything, expecting nothing. So that's, to me, that is very much tantric. Let me see if I can see all of you guys. There we go. That's better. All right, so just so you know, I don't have any training in human sexology or anything like this. I'm just kind of sharing my experience with you. You know, dabbled in things, and I have personal experiences. I have some herbal training and stuff like that, but I'm kind of just giving you this discussion in this. Oops, went backwards. I'm gonna go forward. Just wanted to get that out there, that this is not medical advice or anything, but it, you know, can relieve some issues that you might be having with sex if there's any dysfunction there. So bringing in these 3 principles from Tantra to kind of help alleviate some of that stuff. Just a suggestion, not medical advice, that's all. Okay, so the first of the 3 ideas of Tantra is this dualism. So you have Shakti and Shiva, these masculine and feminine forces. Ultimately, Tantra is very linked to Kundalini energy. So that's when our chakras, channels are all open. All the locks are open, and the channel of energy, the prime energy channel through the body just becomes super heightened. And we actually feel that during orgasms, even if it's just for a small time. But I had one time an experience that wasn't in sex where I had that feeling. And I was doing the Bij mantras for the chakras, and I was visualizing colors. I was actually driving while I was doing it, and it was pretty intense. I was visualizing, you know, doing the Bij mantras. So Lam, Vam, Ram, Yam, Ham, Om. My eyes were open because I was driving. But as I was working with each chakra, I was like Ram, 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 seeing yellow and all, just kind of looking for yellow in the scenery. And then hum, 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 getting to the throat, and the sky, the blue in the sky just became bluer. Even like the cactuses, I was in the desert, so like even the cactuses that are normally green kind of had, like, I was starting to see the blues in them by the time I got to like the throat chakra. And then I thought, is this real? Is this really happening? I got to Ajna chakra, the 3rd eye chakra, and I was like, am I even going to be able to see silver? Like, purple? I'm in the desert. Like, where is the purple going to be? And I went to Om, and that's when I saw, like, around all the clouds in the blue sky, the white clouds had this purple, like, aura around them, and there was purple everywhere in the desert. I was like, it was a confirmation that something was happening. It was like, okay, I'm really having this Kundalini experience. I wonder what's going to happen when I get to bliss, you know, the crown chakra. And it happened. It just totally opened. I was listening to an MC Yogi CD, and I was just overcome with joy, and I was like laughing and crying at the same time. I was kind of shaking. I had to pull over, but before I pulled over, I was like still driving. I was having all these sudden realizations about like what I should be doing with my life, and it was like it was overwhelming. But that was a Kundalini awakening moment. So I pulled over, and I saw like a sign that said Casa Grande, which are these really cool old Native American ruins. So I was like, yeah, I'm going there. So I went there, got out of the car, and journaled about that whole experience. It was really cool. So you don't have to be in sexual situations to feel orgasmic. That's the cool thing about Tantra, is it can happen when you're not doing sex stuff at all. But it can also happen during sex in deeper, like more profound ways than just the scratching the surface of the orgasm there. One of the things to notice is the dualism in yourself. So no matter which gender you identify with, like starting to recognize the opposite gender qualities within you. So what qualities, and they're going to be different for everybody. There's some universal ones that are like assigned, like if you're sensitive, that's female. If you're aggressive, that's male, but it's really about what you see it as, and how you feel. How do you react when you see those things happening in yourself? Like, does it make you feel noticing your reaction to it? It can also be sort of a shadow self. So qualities you don't quite like about yourself or want to acknowledge might be there. And it might be worthwhile to take a look at those shadow things, or just kind of shine some light on it. Oh, okay. I have a wheel mouse and things are happening. I'm going to move on. All right, so sense awareness. There are 6 senses, of course. We have our 5 Western senses, and the 6th sense is thought. These are also assigned to the chakras. So when we work with the chakras, we start with the root chakra as the heaviest element. It's earth. I'll go back one. So this chakra column here, the red at the bottom is your root chakra. It's earth. Then the next chakra up. Hey, Rose. Yeah?
I don't think you're screen sharing.
Really? This whole time? Thank you.
No, you were. We saw it earlier.
You were earlier.
I think it's
happened now. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe when you got kicked.
Right. Okay. Now when I go, my mouse is just okay. Thanks for that heads up. What's the last slide you guys were looking at?
Before you got kicked.
Yeah. Okay. When was that? Let's just do that. Are you guys seeing the chakra column and Shakti Shiva? Okay,
yes.
Good. All right. So like I was saying, the chakras go up in order, the elementals, from the heaviest element on the bottom. So the lower 4 chakras, we'll say 4, but it's really the lower 3 chakras are the dwelling of the divine feminine. So the Shakti energy, think of it, that triangle being at the base in the Sri Yantra, all the triangles pointing up is Shakti energy. So earth, anything earth material on the planet, that's going to be more of a feminine quality. That everything in creation, kind of, especially plants and animals, it all comes from like this Adi Shakti, or this primal creative force, which is female. Like we've all come from a womb. We all came from like a yoni, basically, in some form or another, whether it was a flower blossoming, like Georgia O'Keeffe has seen, or it's Our Lady Lotus. So, and then the upper 4 chakras are the masculine, the Shiva energy coming down. The elements, earth, water. Water is the sacral chakra. Then fire in the solar plexus chakra. Then air is the heart. So in the heart, actually, Anahata chakra, you see the symbol. It looks like the Star of David. It's a 6-pointed star. It's actually the triangles are uniting. So what it's saying is love, that feeling of love, that emotion of love, that divine union, that connection, that right there is where Shakti and Shiva come together. So that's why love is such an important emotion, and it's a big part of Tantra also. Not just between a man and a woman. I wanted to try to be really LGBT inclusive here. This is not just about sex in that way. It's this applies to every living being. Sorry if I'm rambling. The reason I do these slides is so that I can stay on topic, because there's a lot I want to get to. Chakras. So we talked about duality. The second part of Tantra is sense awareness. So let me go to, I'm going to touch on resensitizing first, because I think this is really important. You've heard of desensitizing, like, oh, movies and video games are so desensitizing. They don't, they make us immune to, and even the news, we're immune now to violence, to pornographic sex. It's just like nothing, like whatever. So resensitizing is where you look at that and start repatterning your brain, because your brain is plastic. It can be repatterned, and it will take time and consistency. So things that help you become more sensitive, first off, and I'm kind of going out of order on this list, but I will touch on every point. The first thing and these are all personal experiences I have, but the first thing I did was, cutting off news and violent movies, even like music with a lot of cussing and like, what are they talking about? A lot of the music I listen to now is like mantras and sort of like elevated perspective kind of music, or just really beautiful musical arrangements. I try to stay away from too much like pop or lyrics that are just watching your media intake in general. That's probably the biggest thing with resensitizing, is your media intake. The news in general, there's so many things going on in the world. You could just be catching up with family members or friends rather than, the news, the world news. Too much social media. We all know that can make us feel down. TV in general. Even like TV that's not necessarily violent or sexual in nature, they're just like a bunch of tropes. Like when you turn that stuff off and you resensitize, you start to see patterns and how they're conditioning us to think what is normal. So you see, the common sitcom where dad's kind of like the derpy old dad, and mother knows best, and she's just busy and she does everything and she can handle it all. We're like, when we watch that stuff, it might be just kind of seem like nothing, but it's actually it's normalizing like that behavior. So turning the TV off and like listening to what your body wants to do, and what your, purpose, basically getting away from media. Another big thing is monofocus. Our culture in America got really, really big on multitasking, especially for women. We're going to be mothers, we're going to be work, and we're going to be climbing the career ladder, and we're going to be, signing emails while doing this and that, multitasking. But really focusing on one thing at a time, you're giving all of your attention. These are all tantric practices. So watching what you're intaking, so not only with media, but food. Food is a big one. What kind of food you eat determines like how your gut flora is functioning, and your intuition is in your gut, like the bacteria in your body and those gut feelings that you have. That's literally like the food you eat. You are what you eat. So when you watch what you're taking in some types of Hinduism and in Ayurveda, there's foods that are considered rajas, or they're too stimulating. So watch the amount of stimulating foods that you eat, which would include sugars, alcohol, caffeine. Onions and garlic is one of them, actually. So like when you eat that stuff, drink or intake that stuff, it actually numbs you out from your senses. it's like overloading your senses and making you numb. So just kind of notice that. I know everybody loves garlic, but just think about that a little bit. So as you become more sensitive, you'll begin to see patterns more easily. And this is like where intuition comes in, really. Even being like clairvoyant, it's not always like messages from another realm, you know, it's actually your own intuition. And I see that there's chats here. Let me see. Cool. Yes. Okay, cool. Onions and garlic. Got a testament to it. Yeah, so I've not been eating onions and garlic for a while now, because of it's, you know, part of my spiritual practice. And also I found out I had a medical test tell me that I was physically incapable, like allergic to garlic. So I don't know if that's just my body was reacting to that. I feel like, honestly, that everybody is allergic to garlic and they just don't know it. But let's see. So we're also conditioned to see emotional sensitivity as weakness in our culture. So we need to start to honor our emotional range, whether it's anger, you know, irritability, impatience, whatever the emotion is, whether we associate it with good or bad. We just need to like accept the whole range of emotions, because when you try to deny that, you know, you're causing more numbness. We really want to be sensitive and acknowledge those feelings. I got a couple quotes here that I was just found when I'm Googling. Beauty of whatever kind in its supreme development invariably excites the sensitive soul to tears. That's Edgar Allan Poe. And to me, that kind of hints at like a Kundalini experience, you know, like exciting the soul to tears, the sensitive soul to tears. So I think he was tapped in on that idea there. And then Albert Einstein said that the intuitive mind is a sacred gift and the rational mind is a faithful servant. So we can always rely that our rational mind will be there, but sometimes the intuition, if you try to look at it with a telescope, you know, like really analyze it, it's like fleeting. We can't find it because the feeling is gone. You know, your intuition is like there and gone. You really have to be sensitive to sense it. We've created a society that honors the servant and forgotten the gift. So we're honoring that rationality. And this is a quote from Einstein. You know, he's thought to be one of the greatest rational thinkers of our time. So he was actually saying, no, it's intuition that's the greater gem there. Yeah, desensitizing makes us numb. It allows us to ignore signs. Like when bad things happen to people, like there's sometimes I think, you know, what were all the signs leading up to that, you know? Or like sometimes we see people in really bad situations and you wonder like, why do they stay with an abusive partner or something? And or why does the family continue to repeat patterns, you know, the grandmother, the mother, the daughter, you know? It's because we're numb, we're desensitized, we're letting this pattern take place. So the first step you begin to notice when you become sensitive is noticing the patterns. Like, oh, that's a TV trope. Or if you see violence, you're like, oh, that's very jarring. You're like, good, I'm like sensitive again. All right, I'm gonna go backwards a little bit and go back to the senses. Okay. So as you begin to resensitize, you can start tuning into the physical senses one at a time. And some of these, I think the examples I gave are actually related to like sex or you know, if you're just by yourself in an erotic situation. So sight, even with a friend. So the eye gazing, has anyone tried eye gazing where you just stare at someone in the eyes? You can blink. It's not like a staring contest, like a stare down. But let me know if you've ever did that. I did that also in my yoga teacher training at Krakalu, and it was amazing, incredible. I'll talk about it more in just a minute. But like when you're with a partner, bringing in a blindfold, so taking away the sight, you know, that kind of heightens other senses. And also like having sex in the dark versus having a little bit of low light. You know, I like a little bit of low light. I like to be able to see what's happening. You know, I don't really like a dark room for that. But a blindfold can be exciting every now and then. Sound, always, music helps for sex for me. Always like that. Dancing, and I put singing bowls here, mantra meditation, om, rhythm. I put all that in sound. These different ways to tap into a tantric experience. Smell, the natural scent of your partner, like normalizing armpit smells, you know, the smell of pubic hair. And like really getting to know your partner and getting to love your partner. A lot of like what you eat kind of comes out that way too. And I've been around people or I've had partners before where I couldn't stand the way they smelled. And I actually read a study one time that women who take hormonal birth control, it affects your sense of smell. And so when they would come off of hormonal birth control, they would realize they didn't like their partner anymore because their smell came back. They just like didn't like their smell. And that's one of the ways that I could tell that you know, it was time to end a relationship, was like the natural scent just like not vibing at all. So really appreciating smell, scent, bringing in flowers or perfumes. I should put that there. Pheromones, yes. I mean, that's how the bees do it. The bees, flowers are smelly, right? So this is all, they're experiencing Tantra. Taste, I'm kind of reiterating, but I think it's all going to nail the point home, I hope. Plant-based diet heightens your senses, period. Like so I've been a vegetarian since I was 15, and I was still eating like poultry until 19, and then I was vegetarian, ovo-lacto-pescatarian, meaning I would eat cheeses and eggs and fish. And then in the past 2 years, I've been more plant-based, occasionally eating fish, occasionally eating cheese, or something that has an egg in an ingredient. But so I've kind of got like 20 plus years of this experience, and just saying, it does really heighten senses. And I have gone back and like experimented with like tasting a bite of meat, and to me it tastes like gray, like greasy, like death. I can actually feel the suffering of the animal. So sometimes I'll like check in with that, just so I know, you know, what is this doing? Like, how are people, you know, living, how other people are living or whatever. It's been a long time. I think the last time I ate a piece of like meat that wasn't fish was at Courtney's house, and she had some venison and I was like, I'll try venison, you know. And so anyway, I mentioned eating fresh foods that are in season and fresh, like even vegetables, if they're old or they come from far away, like they're losing their nutrient value. Anything you can get locally, organically, and avoiding the onions and garlics, the caffeine, the alcohols, the sugars, all that stuff that's going to heighten your sense of taste like incredibly. Also kind of about taste, when you wake up, scrape your tongue, because your tongue's going to be covered in all kinds of nasty stuff when you wake up in the morning. Touch, we kind of focus on touch when sex, kind of like feel touch, but some of the more subtle touches, like the feel of like breath on your skin, that the feel of the temperature in the room, or if there's a breeze, if the fan is on or something, or if there's a heater in the, you know, the fireplace going, like really that's the level of sensitivity to touch we're talking about. You can also bring in like feathers, oils. Oiling the skin, always a good idea. So your nerves, your skin's your largest organ. All your nerves are connected to your skin. So oiling them is going to calm you down. It's going to lubricate the skin so it can more easily respire, basically. Another part of touch I kind of mentioned here is withholding intercourse, like not doing it in a manipulative way, but like agreeing that, okay, we're gonna, wait a week or however long, like withholding it intentionally to like let it build up. They say like absence makes the heart grow fonder, that kind of idea where you're like letting it build up. You can also do this by like, we're going to be sexual, would be intimate, but we're not going to do penetration or something like that, like withholding intercourse in some way. That's actually like going to heighten your senses so that when you do, it's going to be more intense. It lets the tensions build. Thought. So that's the sixth sense that we're not usually associating in the Western, like with our senses, but it is, thought is a huge part of sex. Your fantasies, where is your thinking? Like if like, oh, I've got to do this thing, it's really like on your mind. How can you possibly focus on the moment and enjoy, intercourse? Bye, Kara. Sorry, is it late? What time is it? Okay, 9 o'clock. I really wanted to leave some discussion room. Okay, visualizations and fantasy, it's all really healthy. Eye gazing. So this is a practice you can do with your partner. You can do this with your friend. In fact, the picture I put here is just two women, they're friends. I did this in, like I said, my yoga teacher training. Eyes are the windows to the soul. It triggers self-consciousness and vulnerability. So when you kind of let your eyes go relax, so you're not gazing intensely, and you're standing in front of a person, not too close, because if you're too close, it'll be hard to like look them in the eye. Here be going from one eye to the next kind of drastically. So get some space in between you and let your eyes go soft. And you begin to see the person's like true self. And when that happens, they can feel very self-conscious, and you also at the same time realize that they can see you in that vulnerable state. So it becomes like this super vulnerability situation. So you're seeing and being seen. Try not to like talk or laugh or smile or misdirect the feeling. Just like be very present with that situation. It's normal to like just start crying. Try not to look away. And just try to sustain it. And let me know if you've ever tried eye gazing, because it's something really interesting. And it might take several sessions before you can actually really feel that vulnerability, let the the masks down with a person. So keep trying. If you don't feel something profound, try again another day. Resensitizing. Okay, Shakti. Cool. Oops. The Shakti. So we're in this embodiment. I wanted to do like a little exercise of embodying Shakti. I'm not sure we'll have a whole lot of time. Let me just see. Bringing in that feminine to the divine and your altars. Even I wanted to point out the Lady of Guadalupe. So the Catholic image of the Virgin Mary is a vagina. If you look at it, like the light around her is like the vulva, and her cloak is the lips, the labia, and underneath her there's the moon, and there's an angel baby coming out. And the story behind this, actually, and why you always see roses with it, a man had an experience somewhere in Mexico, and I forget his name. It's like Juan or something like that. And I forget from where, but he kept seeing this woman this woman, divine feminine energy was speaking with him near a rose bush, and he kept telling everybody, and nobody would believe him. And one day he went. And he collected all the roses on the bush, put them all in his poncho. He kind of like made a basket with his poncho, and he collected all the roses, and he was like, here, I'll show you. And the roses all fell out, and this was the image that was on his poncho, this image of the Virgin Mary. So that's why she's always depicted in this way, because that was what happened. So then finally people were believing, and there was this more focus on divine feminine, because it was so missing from the church, from the patriarchal church. So the top image here is the Venus of Willendorf. It's one of the oldest carvings found, and one of the most primal imagery of the feminine divine. She's very voluptuous, very curvaceous, large breasts, large belly. Even her vulva is large. So it's like, if you can get a little deity like that to put on your altar. I have one that was carved by hand. My altar is right behind me. Can't really zoom in too much, but I've got crystals on there that are feminine. It's sort of been a focus of my the last few years. It's more divine feminine. So to me, rose quartz, carnelian, garnet, egg-shaped stones with holes in them, these are all like feminine in my mind. So I put them on my altar, and images of goddesses like Durga is in the center of my altar. I do want to show you just a couple things. I have the Guadalupe candle, and I have the sacral chakra icon. I have the Venus of Willendorf carving, little wood piece. So these are some things you can to focus your awareness on that divine feminine and bringing it into your life, whether you're identifying female or not. Okay. So I shared, I'm not sure how many saw it, but this orgasmic breath technique. And what I wanted to do with you guys was kind of practice it together a little bit. It's more of like, I'm gonna scoot back, hopefully you can still hear me. So this is our embodiment practice. Getting into the low chakras, moving down. One of the best ways to get into this is the breath. So the breath work is, you can even massage your jaw a little bit, but open your jaw, open your mouth, and begin more of the mouth breath. So even in like birthing classes, you have that like Lamaze breath, you know, when you're birthing a baby, people are like, I don't know how Lamaze works, but it's a lot of mouth breathing. And so that's also in orgasmic practices. So you can, I like to do inhaling through the nose when I'm first starting, and like a releasing breath through the mouth, just to begin to relax the body. And as you exhale through the mouth, start the ha sound, like inhaling through the nose, and then feel the warmth in the back of the throat, feeling that ha, that constriction. Make it a continuous breath, so one after the other without like space. And maybe alternating a nose inhale with like a in through the teeth. because inhaling through the mouth kind of tends to dry the mouth out, and you can just keep moistening the lips. And adding some sounds like ah on the exhale. Ah. Begin to move the body, circling the chest. So letting it kind of inhale, lifting the heart, expanding. Exhale, rounding, maybe bringing in some head circles. Close your eyes. The Sufi grind when you're sitting and just making these torso rotations, circular motions. So the whirling dervishes used a lot of spinning. In Kundalini yoga, there's a lot of breath-led motions, especially when you can make them continuous and a little faster, maybe an undulation. Maybe humming like a sound. You can feel the vibration of the in the mouth and the face. As you churn your sacral chakra, so your lower belly, start to churn that bowl shape in the belly and circling the tailbone, circling the hips. Letting sounds happen. If you feel like shaking stuff out, if there's something you need to shake, feeling locked, just kind of opening up. So when we are tapping into Shakti energy, we want to opening. Think about that receptivity, the sensitive opening. Kind of quicken the breath. Your hands want to explore your body. You know, if you want to turn the camera off, or you can do that and just kind of explore your body a little, like if you're not comfortable on camera, but kind of massaging the face or touching the hair, feeling the tingles on the skin. Having like moist skin, like oiling, makes this so much more better experience. Like I took a bath right before this, nice and just supple, juicy, those kind of situations. So I could go on and on forever. I very encourage you to keep that practice, especially the open mouth breathing, being open to what movements come natural with the body, not really trying to copy like what you hear in the pornography. That's not what we're doing. You know, this is natural, human, female, feminine, divine. Even if you're masculine or a male, you can do this. You can moan, you can move freely and circular motions, undulating. Water is the element here of the sacral chakra, so embodying that. Noticing how you feel, tuning into the senses in the room, the temperature, your environment, coming into stillness. Keep breathing through the mouth. Maybe you feel like a swirling or a churning, even in the stillness, stirring up that prana energy. So that was just a little taste. If you want to dive deeper into that kind of stuff, I have resources at the end of this that you can like look right into. I already shared a link from Layla Martin. She sends out a weekly email if anyone ever has tuned into her stuff. She gives a lot of sex kind of advice. Let's see the chat room where we are. Cool. All right, so the sacral chakra, that's the image I have up here. It's our center for creativity. So creative potential, whether you're an artist or you want to create a new life, you know, that's where the womb is. That's where creative potential resides. It doesn't just have to do with procreation. Okay, fertility comes in the form of a lot of things. So when you start sensitizing the body and you do these practices, these breath practices, this Shakti embodiment, so you become receptive and opening, your creativity flows more easily because that's the energy of the Svadhisthana, the sacral chakra. I have a quote here, another one of my like favorite quotes. There's a book called Something or Other, and then Wanting to Be Wanted is like the subtitle, Wanting to Be Wanted. But the book is about being the subject of desire instead of the object. So women in our culture are, or have been in the past, it's breaking down now, but we have been idealized as you want to be the object of everyone's desire. You want everyone to want you. I want you to want me, you know, like that's the kind of woman's ideal is like, okay, if everybody else just wants me and wants to be around me or be like me, that's like going to be great. But then we're faced with this dilemma of what do I want? You know, what do you want? What do you desire? That's where your power is coming, and your creativity is going to manifest through those desires. So this is kind of like the reason for all of that we're doing all of this, to learn about what it is we want, what's our dharma, what is it that we want, and how we can start to manifest things for ourselves rather than always being on someone else's agenda and someone else's goals, you know, having your own goals. So also being content. So desire, as Buddha says, is the cause of suffering, right? But contentment. So when you get the thing you want, are you happy? That's another, contentment is a big part of this chakra. And I think it's why a lot of women are unhappy, because they either don't know what they want, or they get what they want and then they're still not happy. So it's a sacral energy block. And it's no wonder that women feel that way, because, you know, 1 out of every 3 women have been abused sexually. So, you know, maybe that there's trauma there. There's also, if you yourself weren't traumatized, maybe someone close to you or someone in your lineage, your family members are. So we're all dealing with that. Oh, I did want to mention like a little personal story about orgasms, and part of what kind of got me into this whole life path. When I think I was 20, around 20 years old, I was on hormonal birth control, and I was kind of traveling. I was in between states, so I needed to re-up on my birth control, but I was in a different state, so I didn't have my doctor. I had to go to a new place to get pap smear before they could clear me to have birth control, and they actually came back with an abnormal pap, which I thought was weird. And then they requested that I come in for a biopsy of my cervix. So I was like, all right, I guess I got to do this to get my birth control. And I guess I want to find out if everything's all right. So I went through the biopsy, and it was very painful. It was very traumatic. I didn't realize how traumatic at the time, but afterward, I was in so much pain. Like, I actually couldn't have an orgasm for 4 years after that. So from 20 to 24, no orgasms. And it became an issue. And I was starting to read up on stuff. I was like, what is wrong with me? I think eventually towards the end of that period, what actually helped me, and I meant to bring it in this room, but I don't have it. I wanted to show you like my magic wand vibrator. Woohoo! Shout out. Yeah. That thing rocks, the Hitachi magic wand. It just looks like a personal massager. It looks like a massager you could like get for your grandma, or like grandma might get you, you know, like but yeah, put that on your clitoris and you will have an orgasm. So that, just a little side note about orgasm. If you are struggling like I did for years, that's like a guaranteed little way. But I've also struggled now trying to resensitize, okay, I need this high level to get to an orgasm, but like, can I get there with this amount of stimulation, you know? So I'm like having to resensitize my body still to this day. Like, and if I you know, anxiety kind of creeps in, like, oh gosh, what if I can't have an orgasm again? You know, sometimes I think that even today, and like that itself brings in, now I'm not present, now it makes it harder to have an orgasm, you know? So that's just my personal experience with orgasm. I don't know if any of you guys have had any issues with orgasms. It's pretty common for women to not have orgasms as often as men, or as easily as men. Kelsey said, Star and I do it. I don't know what you're talking about. Let's see. Was that the breath stuff, Kelsey? Okay. Oh, eye gazing. That's what you guys are talking about. Oh, right, aging. So orgasms, yeah. I think that has to do with lubrication. So what a great segue to Yoni eggs and the practice of why using eggs. So in my research and studies, I came across Yoni eggs, and that's actually how I found Layla Martin. I was Googling like, okay, what's a Yoni egg? And I heard this might help. So I started following her blog, and I actually love the practice so much that, you know, a lot of you guys know, I'm like, I always have them. I always have extra of them. I'm always telling people, hey, if you need a Yoni egg, here's how to use it. But yeah, I do have some. They're made out of stone. Traditionally, like a quartz-based stone is great. Like rose quartz is really probably my favorite, or an aventurine. I have a lot of those green ones. Jade, it has to be a certain type of jade, like really solid jade that doesn't have any pores at all. It's called nephrite jade or something like that. Those are really expensive. I think I spent like $80 on my first Yoni egg from Layla Martin, or no, I got it from a gift shop in Ohio. But it was like 80 bucks, and it was really nephrite jade. So these are the benefits that I've recognized, and I've Googled around, and these are the general benefits. Stimulating lubrication is a big one. So the egg, when it sits, you're gonna have the large end facing down. I think in that diagram, it's actually the other way around. It probably isn't really too important, but you want the bigger part of the egg to be down. It'll be easier to keep it in, and it'll also let that weight kind of sit on what's called your Bartholin's glands, and those are your lubrication glands. So where the wetness comes from, or the slipperiness, you have a little that comes from your cervix as well, but on these glands at the bottom. And I have some personal experience with the Bartholin's glands, because I actually got an infection in one, and it felt like I had blue balls. I had a big bump there. It was like, I felt like I had a testicle, and it just was like a lot of pressure. What happened was my duct got clogged, and I had to use like sitz baths, like soaking, and like manual stimulating to get it to come out. It was like yellow and stinky and gooky and ooky. And that's when I learned about yoni steaming, which we'll probably talk about in the October session around the blood moon, because that's going to be more related to menstruation than it is to orgasms and stuff. So, but yeah, the lubrication, it will increase libido and desire. You're going to just notice like you feel more sexy. That from personal experience is how I feel. It's more exciting, increasing your sensation and improving your muscle control. So you don't even know, like with Kegels, you have to like think about it and do it. And like, okay, I'm going to do 30 reps, do. With Yoni Egg, you just wear it like a piece of jewelry and you don't think about it, but you're benefiting from it just from having it in there. Mm-hmm. Oh, Heather, thank you. Gotta take it. Oh, 5 minutes. I knew I was gonna be so like hard to stay on time tonight, and plus we started late, so I understand if you have to leave. Yeah, so they can also help you recover from trauma. I'm not a trauma-informed person. I was hoping my friend Laura would be on here tonight, who's had a lot of trauma-informed training. But sometimes if there's a lot of trauma, like people might not be able to use Yoni eggs. Men cannot use Yoni eggs, okay? I've had this question come up before. It cannot be used anally. This is like a vagina thing only. Like, it can't get lost in the vagina. Like, there's nowhere else for it to go. There's the cervix at the top of the vagina, and it can't go anywhere else. But you know, men should not insert this in their anus. It can get stuck in there. It can go up in there further than you want. Anyway, that's a no-no. That did come up. I had some friends who were working at the Renaissance Fair, and one of the guy that worked with us was like, "Oh, I want to play because we're having a Yoni Egg work day," and I was like, "Well, let me think about it and let me look this up." And I was like, "No, you cannot play." All right, so probably the biggest issue I've noticed with Yoni Eggs, the biggest problem with Yoni Eggs for me, has been like forgetting that it's in and then going to the bathroom and out into the toilet. I lost a couple that way. I've lost them to porta potties that way. Luckily, I still have my original $80 one, but I've definitely lost some, like, you know, $20 rose quartz ones and aventurine green ones. So some of them have strings. I don't really like the ones with holes drilled in and strings because like your juices get in there and you have to like clean the holes with like a wire brush or something, and the strings are like fabric, so they're kind of like they can store bacteria. I prefer no holes, but it does make it easier to get out. If you have a string, you can like pull it out. Don't use the ones with the strings if you have an IUD, because IUD has those little pieces of tiny pieces that stick out of your cervix, and you don't want it to get tangled. I've never had an IUD, so I don't have a lot of experience there, and I just know that it's not recommended. You should just use a Yoni Egg without a string. Even if it has a hole, just remove the string. So if you have a lot of trauma or if there's a lot of tightness, you shouldn't use a Yoni Egg. If you're menstruating, don't use a Yoni Egg. If you have any kind of an injury there, like stitches, if you've had like an episiotomy or you're recovering from postpartum, don't use a Yoni Egg there. To remove it, it's pretty intuitive, and so a lot of times they're just going to fall out because the larger eggs are actually easier. They're more like the beginner egg is bigger. You would think, egg, I'm not ready for that yet, you know, I'll start with something small. But actually the smaller egg is more difficult to keep in. So a bigger, like a 3-ounce egg that's usually what I carry is the bigger eggs. That's where you want to start with. Unless you have a lot of tightness, then maybe try something smaller. But it's just going to be, probably the biggest problem is going to be just keeping it in. And it's so easy to forget about. You really don't even feel it, other than you might notice more lubrication, like some more wetness down there. If it does go in the toilet and you're brave enough to fish it out, just sterilize it really well. Soapy water, you can even pour boiling water over it and let it steep in a cup. Whatever you're comfortable with. It's $20 if you want to just be like, whatever, I'm not putting my hand in the toilet, get another one, whatever. So things I like to do, like different experiences, do that orgasmic breath technique with the Yoni Egg in, the one we just did. So like all that intuitive movement and with the mouth breathing. You can wear your Yoni Egg to a bath. You can wear it to a yoga class if you're being like a little brave. Just wearing them to bed is good, but have some sort of reminder in the bathroom that like, so when you get up in the morning, you're like, oh yeah, I have my egg in there. Like maybe put the little pouch like right next to the sink or the toilet or something. Bye, Eliana. Okay. I do have some journal prompts. And these are more like journal prompts for you can do the beginning, the new moon here. What qualities do you associate with the opposite gender? Do you manifest? I kind of asked that question in the beginning. And then also looking at our shadow selves, what behaviors annoy you in other people? And how do you yourself manifest those behaviors? So everything's like a duality. We're kind of magnetized towards some people and away from some people for different reasons. So kind of noticing, what am I attracted to? What am I averting to? These are the basics of Tantra and Buddhism in general. Recognizing what you're clinging to and what you're averting, like shying away from, or like heck knowing away from, and why is it? Like, there's a lot of divisiveness in the country politically, and it's like, all right, how can I have an open mind and an open heart, but still like have my boundaries and own and know my truth, without creating this cutoff of that completely. How are you different from every human being? How are you the same? That's another journal prompt. And most importantly, probably, what do you want? What is it that you want? What is your desire? And when you get what you want, are you satisfied and content? Okay, resources. I really wanted to give you guys these resources. They're Shakti Temple Arts on Facebook. She's this Halo, my dance teachers, one of my dance teachers, having, right now we're in temple dance, and then starting May 17th, she's going to be doing Tantric yoga on Mondays. And if you can't do it on Monday, she's in California, so the time is different. I'm not sure what time it is. Like her dance class that I'm in now is on Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific, so it's at 2 p.m. here. And she always gives a replay so you can catch it. She's a really great teacher. So the Tantric yoga is coming up May 17th. And there's a free temple dance class in the Temple Arts Collective Facebook group, which I link. And that's also where the Navratri 9 days practice is all going to be. So if you guys want to join up that group, Halo was going to be my guest speaker tonight, actually, but she's also leading a group of women and also being mentored herself. So she didn't have it in her room, in her schedule, but she did want to like extend the invite to all of you to join the group. Layla Martin, and that's a picture of her there. She puts an email out every week. The email that came out today was about consent and trauma. So that's a really good one. Like Consent 101, I think, is like really knowing if your yes is a yes. If it's not like, okay. Like if it's not, she does use some profanity. She's like, if it's not an F yes, then it's a F no. Like you got to be like all in. So that was her thing just today that came out for this week. If you want to join her email. Sahara Rose has been a really good one that I follow. Her Highest Self podcast has a lot of really good gems, and Discover Your Dharma book. She does a lot with Ayurveda. But Rose Gold Goddesses, I was a member of last year. It was like 200 something for the whole year, and she did a monthly goddess talk. So each month was a different goddess to kind of dive into, similarly to how we do these new moon talks. But it was always like the beginning of the month. She would talk about a different goddess. And, the group, it wasn't on Facebook. It was in this other like group, a whole other platform that I found actually really hard to use. So I didn't end up renewing, but I really liked her monthly talks. But joining like a Facebook group, there's a few that you're probably in. I have the New Moon Circles. There's a Red Tent group as well that I'm an admin for. But you know, these kind of groups are ways for you to connect online. A lot of us are very disconnected. If you're living with like a partner of the opposite sex, it can be hard to like relate. You know, so being a member of something that you can identify with. So those are these resources, and I will post this PDF on my website, romanomad.com, and all these links are active. I'll try to also put them in the New Moon Circle group. Next month is the Journey Moon for May. My friend Jen, I don't know if you're still here, she's a have to Ren Fair Circuit. She just came to visit me a couple days ago, actually. She's an intuitive. She does tarot card readings. She does ayahuasca ceremonies. So her and there's another local girl, Megan, the embodied warrior. She's also going to try to hop on. I think she'll actually be in Peru during the call next month. But so we're going to talk about spiritual journeys. I'm going to talk a little bit about travel and how I do that. You know, my travels to Thailand, Istanbul, Guatemala, Central America, Mexico, all across the US, like how travel kind of has affected. So that's the topic for next month. Thank you to you guys who've stayed on with me. I know it's late. Who do I still have? Yay! Let's go ahead and unmute. Oh, it's so good to see you, Kelsey. Thanks for turning on your. Hi. Where are you, Kelsey?
I'm in Utah, Salt Lake City.
I figured you were in Utah, but you look like you're in your vehicle. I thought maybe you're a kid.
Yeah. Van life. We're getting the van set because we're going on a big road trip next weekend for like the whole rest of the month.
That sounds
Journey
awesome.
Moon energy coming in on
Yes,
Where are you going?
absolutely.
Where are you going to be exploring?
Through Joshua Tree and then all the way up the coast to Mount Shasta to meet up with Star.
Cool.
And like,
Are there any,
root
like,
in some.
It's all play or what?
It's
I'm getting caught again.
Yeah, it's all channeling. I'm actually going to launch my own website and a whole new brand, and so like I'm really coding and taking a break because like the summer is just gonna skyrocket. There's so much travel and stuff. So yeah, I'm really just needing to like pull in the codes and like make content and birth. So yeah, it's gonna be my big birthing moment.
Creative energy.
So
away.
yeah, I'm really excited.
You know, that goddess energy, you're going to be creating a lot. You're basically having a creative baby.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening. I actually have the bloat to go with it. Hold on, wait.
You are full of creativity. Are you mooning too? Are you on your cycle?
I don't do that. Actually.
Not with the
no, like I don't really bleed. I probably do it like maybe twice a year. Yeah, it's actually like I started to talk to some people about it just because at first I thought maybe I was not in tune with something or something was, wrong and that kind of thing. But there's actually this group like in History of the Immortal Sisters that actually contained their birthing energy so they didn't shed it anymore to like actually like take it into their body and create all of that life force in order to like birth big energies and stuff. And I'm like, oh my god, that nothing's ever resonated until I really tapped into that. And it makes so much sense because when I do end up having a cycle, it is like the Lion's Gate, I had one after like my first big retreat that I did and changed my whole life. And then when I moved to Utah and drove out here, I bled the whole drive and I actually had to like do a bunch of grid work and bleed on the earth. I like ran out of gas so that I would get out of the car and go bleed in the grass because I was like on my way to Star in New Mexico. And I was like, I just have to get there. And the grid was like, no, you have work to do. I'm like, okay, fine. And I haven't bled since.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's cool.
We'll see.
I have a friend, Anya just popped off. But I know Anya through my friend Laura, who is also supposed to be the guest this month, but she'll be our guest for Blood Moon. She is like a menstruation expert, and I've
Okay.
had like menstruation consultations with her because I was
Cool.
having like really heavy periods. They were consistent, pretty consistent, but they were super heavy and very painful and full of clots, and they were very dark. And like she taught me about yoni
Wow.
steaming and what herbs to take, and like you would
Yeah.
take totally herbs, like the opposite herbs, because yours was like either faint or non-existent, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But she's going to be here for the Blood Moon, and
Okay,
we'll talk
cool.
about fertility awareness and you know,
Yay.
getting around using your own body awareness for birth control. Just knowing like I'm fertile now. Let's use a condom
Right.
or something extra.
Cool. Yeah,
I
that's
think
exciting.
it's so cool, like Kelsey and Chelsea are both here because like I love
Oh,
you
yay.
girls. Yay.
That's
And some
awesome.
form of ginger.
Yes, right? I see it. That's awesome. So cute.
Cool. Well, hey,
This
I
was
feel like
amazing. Roma, you put in so much information into this. Like, yeah, I'm super proud of you. It was awesome.
thank you. I
Yeah.
was like, I'm going to have to cut something. I just know it. Maybe I won't talk about Kama Sutra. No, I'll put it in the beginning and I'll go over it. Maybe we will do the embodiment. No, we have to.
No, we have to. It was good. It was really good.
Cool, thank you. And I love that you're like doing the dance stuff in your moon circles. Kelsey has moon circles. She's part of the Moon Babes in the Light tribe. She's like,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, and I actually took over doing Moon Babes Society, the monthly program. So I write the whole astrology calendar. I create the meditations now, and like, you know, again, kind of just what you did, you know, all the journal prompts and the ideas and the energy around it. And then, you know, like Sonia and I do the meditations together and stuff. Yeah, and she still, you know, like does her magic thing because meditation's totally her vibe. But it's really fun to like join forces and really be in the planetary energy of all of that too. So yeah, it's been beautiful, and like more and more embodiment has come in.
Air. He's like in the air out there
Yeah.
quality with the meditations and stuff. And you're like,
Yeah,
get this on paper, to-do list, checklist, like
Yeah.
visualization, graphs, charts.
exactly. Yeah,
Capricorn.
right. I definitely help ground it because she's so astral all the time. Yeah.
I see that when I listen to her sometimes. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, she blows some people out sometimes, so we're a good balance. Ooh, get those sun codes. Yes.
You're not driving, right?
No,
You're-
Dylan's driving.
Oh, cool. But you are in a moving vehicle.
Yes, it's moving now.
Cool.
So I was committed to hanging out with you.
Yay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Chelsea, I bare chested in the kayak
I
today.
know. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy.
Woo!
Chelsea has a website called Breasts Are Healthy or something like that. And we have a lawsuit. She has a lawsuit that's going. Where is it? We have a lawsuit of it
Ooh.
But yeah,
with equality.
city, gender equality, and all of that, treating us the same under the law as we should be.
Yay, I'm for that. Yes, please. Free it. That's actually, I was sunbathing this morning in my robe and I like opened it like titties out. And, you know, like Dylan looked over at me. He's like, all right, like, let it out. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in the yard, but still.
Yeah, I do it in my yard too, and I have very nice neighbors that are okay with it. So
That's great.
I would do it anyway, but
if I'm naked every moment that I can be. I lived at a nudist park in California for a while. That was fun.
Yeah.
My friend Jen just visited me, and she has a double mastectomy, so she has no breasts, no nipples, or breast tissue, so she can technically be bare-chested legally, I guess. But yeah, she likes to exercise that.
That's amazing. Good for her.
You know Jen, right? Right, Kelsey?
Oh yeah. She does it? Oh, I'm so proud of her. That's amazing.
Yeah,
I saw she was on here in the beginning.
Hey, in Ocean City, as a matter of fact, and I was like, well, you know, I can't, but you can, I'm pretty sure.
That's amazing. Good for her.
You got like hennaed her chest to make it look like there's a bikini, but it's just henna.
That's
Awesome.
adorable.
Yeah, that's super cool.
Well, I don't want to keep you guys too late. I know it's kind of already over time. I try to do this container, but we're just catching up and stuff.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a nice chat,
I'm
and it's early here.
Yeah, it looks like
Yeah,
it.
what time is it in Utah?
What time is it? What time is it? 8?
7:44.
7:44. 7:44.
Oh wow.
And it's still daylight over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sun sets at about 8. We're actually driving to, I think, go watch it. Is that where you're taking me? We're getting the codes. He's taking me to the sunset on the top of the mountain.
Nice. Sounds like it's hot.
It's running, yeah. Yeah, there's like the Capitol up here, like in Salt Lake City. So it's actually really pretty. There's a bunch of parks and stuff like that. And then like the valley is just open. So you can, the sunset and like the mountains in the background are really gorgeous. So it's a whole vibe.
That's awesome.
Beautiful.
I'll enjoy it.
Amazing. As the last.
What was that?
Yeah, when you can extend your hand and just one finger width between the sun and the horizon, you can
Yeah.
actually look directly at the sun.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, we do it. Yeah, I
One
do it all the
finger
time.
width. 15 minutes for every one finger. So it's like that. Okay, we got a half an hour till sunset. 45 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. I always do my whole hand. Yeah, because
That's fun.
I like estimate it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wait, can I flip this and show it to you? Oh,
Yeah.
is that a thing? Let's see. Hold on.
I love when I get to watch more than one sunset in one day
Right?
or rise.
Oh wow.
Is
That's
that
the
a
Capitol.
Oh.
So that's the Capitol, but there's temples everywhere. Yeah, look at those sun codes.
Like the Mormon temples look like Disneylands and stuff and castles.
Yeah,
and Fairyland.
they do.
They
Yeah,
kind
all
of
the
are.
LDS temples out here, and they light up. They're so crazy. They're like solid marble.
Wow.
Oh, you got
That's beautiful.
it
It's so
is.
pretty.
Want to see the sunset in Utah, Keith? You want to see the sunset in Utah? Come see. This is Kelsey. She's in
Hi.
Utah.
Very cool.
So good. The valley, the
Wow.
mountains.
Capital of Salt Lake.
Can you see more mountains? There's more mountains back there.
Oh, I miss the mountains. It's so flat here. But I also love flat. I love kayaking and biking when it's flat.
Yeah,
Mhm.
biking is much easier.
Definitely.
Yeah.
True.
But I love the mountains. Yeah.
So
Well,
good.
thank you for sharing your sunset with us.
You're
Yeah.
welcome.
We should probably let you go so you can
Yeah.
enjoy it with your man.
All right, I'm gonna get in the codes. It's gonna be
Cool.
great.
Bye.
Thank you. Happy new
Bye.
moon.
Thank you, Rose. Bye.
New moon, new
Bye.
Yaki. Luck with your birthing.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too.
Bye.
Bye.